We take off from Longreach Airport on a grey January day in 2009. This is more like flying through coastal areas than the normally dry and dusty outback. It's a 2-hour flight west from Longreach over the great expanses of Western Queensland. The Diamantina River is in flood, spreading over Diamantina Lakes National Park.
There's been this view in some quarters that water running into the desert is water going to waste. And the reality is there's no loss of water in any river system. The water that goes down the system drives the processes that make these rivers exist, which is a big problem with the Murray-Darling. There's no connectivity between floodplain and channels anymore. But we still have that out here. Our systems are natural, and the water and the flooding drives not only the aquatic ecosystem but all the terrestrial ecosystems that also rely on the flooding rains of northern Australia to actually kick-start the whole ecological process each wet season, or the wet seasons that actually work. I'm Angus. I live on Noonbar Station, which is situated on the junction of the Vergemont Channels and the Thomson River, and that's about 130 kilometres south-southwest of Longreach. With my wife Karen and my 2 children, I've got a beef cattle enterprise there. Our family's had the place there ever since it became a property in its own right back at the beginning of last century, so it's nearly 100 years old now.
We thought the Diamantina was impressive. Ahead, over the horizon, is the Georgina River. It's an ocean.
The importance of rivers for our beef cattle operation is it's absolutely vital. We wouldn't have an industry, or we wouldn't have our own family operation without the beneficial flooding that we get from the Thomson and the Vergemont.
We measure the Georgina with the plane's GPS as being 50 kilometres across. 50 kilometres. And we fly into the outback town of Baduri. Today, it's an island. Here, we change planes to make filming easier.
So this year's in Northern Australia, we've had a wonderful wet season, and right across the northwest there's been, for the last month and a half, there's been a major monsoonal influence, and the Georgina and the Diamantina have been coming down, which is absolutely wonderful because that country's been very dry for a long period of time. So we've got this huge body of water moving towards Lake Eyre, down the Georgina, down Eyre Creek, heading towards where it hits the big channel country lagoons further south, and joining up with the Diamantina, which is also in flood. For the beef industry, this is some of the best natural fattening country in the world, and this water that's going down there is just amazing. The whole of this system is driven by this boom-bust ecology that the desert rivers around the world work on. So you get these long periods of dry followed by these huge bursts of rain. And that whole wetting and drying actually makes them incredibly rich, because you get the big burst and you get a lot of growth, a lot of organic carbons into the system, and then it dries out and that's sitting there. And when you once again get another burst of flooding later on, it's incredibly rich. The floodplains of the Cooper are as rich as any rainforest stream anywhere in the world after a flood. So that's why we get this huge burst of life and massive breeding of invertebrates and fish, all the water birds from around the coast of Australia, and all the ones that have no longer got anywhere to breed in the Murray-Darling or the wetlands of eastern Australia because they've all been compromised, all come out into our part of the world and they all breed. So the rivers of the Lake Eyre Basin are actually providing a huge ecosystem service to the compromised systems of eastern and southern Australia. So they're playing now a much greater role than they ever did in the past. The boom and bust of these systems is absolutely crucial to the way they function, and it's up to us as a community and a nation to make sure those cycles continue. There's always going to be a push wherever there's water and wherever there's land to do more and more development, but we've actually seen what effect that has. In the Channel Country, we've got the beef industry, we've got ecotourism, we've got the organic beef industry, and these industries are actually working with the system. They're not destroying it, they're making use of it when it happens. But if we were to allow water extraction into these systems, the political reality is over time that would grow, and the physical reality of that is that we would destroy these systems. So as a nation and as a community, we're in a wonderful position. We've got some of the last major dryland rivers anywhere in the world that are in great shape, and if we make the right decisions now, we can keep them that way. But if we make the wrong decision once, and we can lose them as well. So what we need to do is let the water flow and actually use the benefits of that flooding for our industries, but without compromising it. So that means no irrigated agriculture, no extraction of water other than just stock domestic in towns, which is what we've got now. If we go beyond that, we will destroy these systems just as successfully as we've destroyed the Murray-Darling and other rivers in the south. So it's a magic opportunity for us to have this knowledge and also have a system that's still in great shape. But we as a community have to make the right hard decisions now and say no more. We've got to look after it for us, for the environment and for future generations.